So, hi everyone. Good morning. Hello sa inyo ha. Kumusta naman mo? Laban pa ba ta dira nga side? Di pa ba ang all? And yes, okay na okay. Okay jud na siya. I am here para mag-add on sa inyong learnings para mas mapalalo, mas mapa-deeper ang inyong knowledge or mas mapadali, masabtan. Atong i-discuss karon ay prepare a materials na simple and then through materials through discussions, and I'm here to help you with your reviews. So dapat first and foremost i-help gyud nimo imuhang self kay at the end of the day walay laing makatabang sa imuha kun dili ang imuharang self. So naami din hiya para mag-supplement sa mga knowledge na kailangan ninyo para sa inyohang board exam. And we're praying na kamong tanan mo pasar ang iyong desire ihatag ni Lord. And dapat kamo mismo na amoy faith sa inyong kaugalingon. And faith, kailangan na siya og paningkamot. So, dapat maminaw ka, seryoso ka sa pagpaminaw din kay ang board exam. Pag naana ka dito sa situations dili na nimo pwede mabalik ang panahon basig pag abot nimo may pag makaingon kasi mo self may pag naminaw ko may pag nagtarong ko og review may pag nagtarong ko og paminaw atong discussion something like that. So dili na to nahayaan nga mo na mahitabo, so dapat from the very beginning seryoso na ka, goal oriented, motivated, inspired, and yes, something like that. So i-prepare na ako ang materials for a couple of days or maybe tulo ka adlaw para gipasimplihan na ako para mas masabtan para mas mag-sink in sa inyo ang knowledge. So without further ado, let us start to our main topic, main goal, which is ang thorough discussions about foundations of education or philosophy of education. Okay, foundations of education. So this is the backbone of the education system. So very important yun ni ang foundations of education. It covers the essential ideas, beliefs, and practices that shape how education is delivered in schools and communities. It draws from history, psychology, sociology, and philosophy to explain why and how we teach the way we do. Think of it like the roots of a tree, unseen but vital in holding everything together. So ing ana ang foundations of education. Mura siyag mga ugat sa kahoy nga it plays a crucial role. It plays a vital role in education. So example, why do we have subjects like math, history in school? Math and history. So also, why do teachers follow certain rules or teaching styles? So, the foundations of education provide the reasons behind those choices. So, ang foundations of educations maoy maka-explain nganong na ay math, history, and why do teachers na naga-teach sila that way. So, philosophy of education naman, this focuses on the personal and societal beliefs about the purpose and value of education. It asks big questions like what is the goal of learning? What should be taught? And how should we teach it? Every educator has their own philosophy, whether they realize it or not, guiding how they approach their students and their classroom. Example: if a teacher believes students learn best through hands-on activities rather than lectures, that belief is part of their philosophy of education. So, every teacher, every people, every kuan na gyud na siya mga kanya-kanyang filosofiya sa kinabuhi. So, let us discuss the first proponent foundations of education, which is si Avicenna. He A young theory is a floating man thought experiment, which is the soul and awareness. So for him, the soul exists and is self-aware even without physical senses. So what does it mean? Si Avicenna or Ibn Sina was a famous Persian philosopher, physician, and scientist during the Islamic Golden Age. He's known for his deep ideas about the mind, soul, and self-awareness. So, mauna siya si Avicenna, and this is the explanation. So, Avicenna's idea comes from the floating man thought experiment. He asked us to imagine a person created all at once, fully conscious, but floating in space with no sensations at all. They cannot see, hear, touch, taste, or smell. Mao na siya ang soul. Dili na wala na sila they cannot able to see, dili sila kadungog, dili sila maka-touch, dili sila maka-taste or even smell. Their body doesn't touch anything and they aren't pero dili pud sila aware. Even in that situation, the person would still be aware of their own existence. Dili sila makatouch, dili sila makasee, wala sila mga personal senses, wala sila physical body. However, they are aware that they exist. They would know, I exist, even without feeling or sensing anything physical. So, the thought experiments na Avicii ask us to imagine a person created fully grown with no past experiences or senses. This person is suspended in empty spaces, floating, with no contact with outside world. They cannot see, hear, touch, taste, or smell anything. Even their body isn't felt. Their limbs are part and there's no sensation. Now, would this person still be aware of themselves? The answer is yes. Aware sila nga naga-exist sila pero wala sila physical body. According to Avicenna, this floating person would still be aware of their own existence. They might not know anything about the world or their body, but they'd have a basic sense of I exist. Wala sila physical senses, pero naa sila basic sense which is I exist. He used this to argue that soul or self-awareness is independent from the physical body. So soul is separate siya sa physical body. Kumbaga naalang siya sa air, naglutaw sa hangin. Even without senses, the mind or soul is naturally conscious of its own being. And also, why it matters to study Ibn Sina or Avicenna. So this idea was a big step in discussions about the nature of the soul, consciousness, and identity. It influenced later philosophers like Descartes, I think, therefore I am, and helped us shape debates about what makes us, our bodies, or our mind. Avicenna believed that this shows that our souls or self is separate from our physical body. It means our awareness of I am doesn't depend on our senses or body. The soul has its own independent conscious existence. So even walay physical body, ang soul is na independent or nakaseparate sila. Simple example, imagine closing your eyes, covering your ears, and losing all physical sensations. But you'd still know you exist inside your mind. So, mao na siya ang pasabot sa a floating man ni Avicenna. Next, we have John Dewey. John Dewey is famous for his theory progressivism, which he believes learning by doing. For him, education should experience based and student centered. Who is John Dewey? John Dewey is an American philosopher, educator, and psychologist, known as the father of progressive education. So, John is the father of education. John Dewey is the father of progressive education. So, what is progressivism? A philosophy that a philosophy that believes education should be a practical, meaningful, and connected to real life. Students learn best when they are actively involved, not just listening but doing. For him, John Dewey, John Dewey, learners best learn or can easily learn if teachers allow them to experience or to do it their way. Learning by doing. So this is the student should learn through experiences. As we have what they call this one kasabihan that experience is the best teachers, and I do really agree for that one. For John Dewey, hands-on activities and problem-solving tasks help develop understanding better than lectures alone. So, for the teachers, it needs to let the children experience. Example, instead of reading about planting, let the students plant a seed, care for it, and observe its growth. So these ideas comes from John Dewey, a famous philosopher and educator. He believed that students learn best when they are actively involved in real life, meaningful experiences, not just by memorizing facts from teachers or books. So for him, child or students should learn better if teachers allow them to experience it. In Dewey's philosophy, learning should connect to the student's interest, needs, and environment. Students learn by doing, exploring, experimenting, and reflecting on their experiences. The teachers act as a guide or facilitator, not just a lecturer. The classroom should feel like a mini community where students participate, make decisions, and solve problems together. So this is not just a one way of learning. So it's like their teacher should prepare an activities in order for the students to experience and learn from and the students will gonna learn from their experiences. Okay, simple example. Instead of just reading about planting, students go outside, plant seeds, and then water them, observe how they grow, and then discuss what happened. Mona siya gusto ni John Dewey. You let the children experience planting, water the plants, observe how they grow, and then discuss what happened sa plants. For him, that's learning by doing. It's fun, memorable, and meaningful. And for John Dewey, the learning by doing is fun, memorable, and meaningful. So, in short, for John Dewey, learning should be based on real life experiences. It should focus on the student's interest, and teachers should guide, not dictate. So, in learning by doing, teachers becomes a facilitator, not just a lecturer. Why it matters? Because for John Dewey, it makes learning fun, engaging, and practical. It helps students to develop critical thinking and problem solving skills. Prepare students for real life challenges, not just tests. Dewey's core belief: education is life itself, not just preparation for life. Schools should be a democratic communities where students are free to express ideas. Teachers are guides and facilitators, not just knowledge givers. Next, we have Plato. Plato believed for idealism. For him, reality is based on unchanging ideas. Education develops reasoning. Who is Plato? Plato is a Greek philosopher and the student of Socrates. He is famous for founding the Academy of Athens, one of the first institution of higher learning in history. So, what is idealism? Idealism is a philosophy that believes the ideas are more real and important than physical things. The material world is temporary and imperfect, but ideas and concepts are eternal and perfect. Plato believed for idealism, which is he believes for unchanging ideas and which is eternal. Plato's theory of forms or ideas, he believed that everything in the physical world is just a copy or a reflection of a perfect, unchanging idea or form that exists in a higher, invisible world. Example, a beautiful flower might fade and die, but the idea of beauty lasts forever. So that was ideas theory. He focuses on the things that is dili makita, which is beauty. He focuses on the unchanging idea, which is if we're going to think for the flower, there's a beauty, diba? And idealism in education. Education should focus on developing the mind, character, and moral values. Learners should seek truth, goodness, and beauty through reasoning and deep thinking. Teachers guide students toward discovering eternal ideas and values. Plato believes that for idealism, he focuses on the unchanging ideas or eternal ideas. For example, for reasoning, it cannot be seen. Teachers guide students toward discovering eternal ideas and values. Plato believed that true reality exists in the world of ideas or form, not in the physical world around us. For him, the physical world is temporary and changing. So Plato believed that true reality exists in the world of ideas or form, not in the physical world around us. For him, the physical world is temporary and changing, but ideas like goodness, beauty, and justice are eternal and perfect. And also in education, this means that the purpose of learning is to develop the mind and the reasoning ability of the child. Students should be guided to understand universal truth and values like honesty, justice, and goodness, not just focus on material or physical things. Education helps the soul remember the perfect ideas it once knew before being born into physical world. So, simple example. Instead of just teaching students how to make money or survive, education should teach them what is right and wrong, what is beautiful, what is good, and how to think deeply about life's big questions. So, in short, instead of, may kasabihan po tayo, right, that um, don't give them a fish, instead, teach them how to fish. Kay if tagaan man gud nimo sila directly, there are tendency na kanang magsalig or worst case scenario is dili sila kabalo maning kamot sa ilahang kaugalingon. So instead of giving them or kanang spoon feeding them, you're gonna teach them the best value, which is you're gonna teach them to paningkamot para instead of giving them a fish, you're gonna teach them how to fish para makabalo sila maningkamot, makabalo sila sa process para in order for them to survive, dili kay spoon feed nimo ang students. In order for the people to survive, you have to teach them the process of pagpaningkamot, something like that. So in short, reality is based on eternal ideas or unchanging ideas. Education should develop reason and character. So, kung unsa ang sa sulod, maayo ang iyang panghunahuna, maayo ang iyahang goal, maayo ang iyahang reasoning skill, it can reflect on the character. Focus on universal values and moral education. So Plato believed in the universal truth, and also he emphasized the moral of students, why it matters. So Plato stresses the importance of values, ethics, and wisdom in education. Encourage students to ask why and what is true rather than just memorizing facts. So here, the students should think deeply, think critically, think logically, and rather than like memorizing. Also, inspire education system to teach not just skills but also meaningful and purposeful. Next, we have Aristotle. Aristotle is the famous for his theory realism. For him, reality exists independently. Education is grounded on what can be observed. Unchanging ideas, education develops reasoning. And by the way, who is Aristotle? Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, Plato's student, and Alexander the Great's tutor. So, estudyante siya ni Plato and tutor ni Alexander the Great. See, Aristotle. He's known as the father of realism in philosophy. Aristotle believed that reality exists in the physical, material world around us, and it can be known through observation, experience, and reasoning. Unlike his teacher Plato, who focused on ideas, Aristotle emphasized the importance of studying the natural world and human behavior to gain knowledge. So for him, we should focus as well on the reality. For him, to see is to believe. So realism is the philosophy that believes reality exists outside of our minds. The world is made up of real physical objects and facts that can be studied and understood through observation and experience. So Aristotle believed that in order for you to gain knowledge, you have to see the reality. You have to check you will be able to observe things in order for you to learn. So in short, what you see and experience is real. That's it for Aristotle. In education, this means that learning should be based on facts, evidence, and real life experiences. Students should be taught about the physical world, nature, society, and practical skills. Education should aim to develop both the mind and body, promoting a well rounded individual. The teacher's role is to train students to observe, think logically, and make wise decisions based on reality. So Aristotle's educational beliefs is education should be practical, logical, and based on facts. Learners should study the real world through observation, experiments, and experience. And the teacher should help students understand how things work in the real world. The teachers would explain or um, make the students understand what will be the happening in the real world. Example, instead of just talking about courage as an idea, Aristotle would have students to observe brave actions in real life or read stories about courageous people to understand what courage really means. In order for the students to learn better, they have to learn it from the people who really nga nagpakita og courage. So like for example, sa mga testimony or sa real person, for example sa mga soldier, kung giunsa nila pagpakiglaban, kung giunsa nila pag-fight, something like that. Or like for example, pag katong na mga let us get the example sa situation today. Like for example, 'di ba, ang kanang mental health is very alarming na siya in the past years, or maybe napagyapon siya until karon, right? So, in order for them to cope up or to learn how to handle those mental health issues, they gonna learn from the people na naka-encounter ana og na kumbaga na win nila ang kana nga situation, or magtanaw sila mga videos sa mga testimonies sa mga koan giunsa nila pag fight ang mental health issues. Also, instead of only talking about the tree's beauty, realism encouraged students to observe the tree, study its parts, and understand how it grows and survives. Gusto ni Aristotle na maka-experience gyud mismo ug makita gyud mismo sa mga bata or sa mga estudyante para mas maka-learn pa sila og daghan. For Aristotle, in short, reality exists in the physical world. So, contradict siya kay Plato. Education should be practical, logical, and experience-based. Focus on developing both the mind and the body. Why it matters? Aristotle's theory focuses on real life skills and knowledge. Prepare students to deal with everyday problems and real world situations. Encourage critical thinking, reasoning, and evidence based learning. Next, we have Jean-Jacques Rousseau. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, famous for his theory naturalism. For him, education should follow the natural growth and development of the child. Who is Jean-Jacques Rousseau? Jean-Jacques Rousseau is a famous French philosopher, writer, and educator during the 18th century, known as the father of naturalism in education. Rousseau believed that education should follow the natural growth and development of the child. He argued that children are naturally good and curious, and that education should not force them to fit into the strict artificial system made by the adults. So, what is naturalism? So, naturalism is a philosophy that believes education should follow the natural development of the child. Children are naturally good, curious, and capable of learning through direct experience with nature and the world around them. In short, let the child be free to grow and learn naturally. So mao po ni siya ang kanang sa kakita ka sa mga American na kanang mga culture, makita nimo ang mga bata pasagdan lang nila, mabalintong, madagma, makuan pasagdan lang nila ang bata na mag-explore sa nature, and then um let the child free, something like that. Good mo na siya ang konsa naturalism. In Rousseau's view, learning should happen in harmony with nature. Children should be allowed to explore, experience, and learn from their environment. Dili pareha sa not all Filipino is ing ana ang parenting style, but most sa ako ang nakita kanang strict. For example, dili padaganda-ganon ang bata kay madagma, masamad, something like that. And sa ano naman sa American culture naman, pasagdan nila ang bata, i-allow nilang madagma, masamad, nakuan kay para mas maka-learn ang bata. Education should respect the individual pace and interest of the learner. So dapat sa eskwelahan, as a teacher, dili ka basta-basta na kanang mag-judge na nganong kini nga bata is dugay makasabot, nganong kini nga bata is kanang dili kasabot, something like that. It is because na ay different kind of stage or different stages sa learning sa bata. Maybe na impact ang ilahang environment, heredity, culture, something like that. Good na as a teacher dapat mas taas imong pasensya, mas mag-create ka og mga materials nga mas madali maka-learn ang bata or mas ma-ignite ang interest sa bata para mas maka-learn. The teacher's role is to guide and protect the child's natural growth, not control or mold it. So, dapat ang mga bata pasagdan silang natural growth and then pasagdan sila magdagandagan, pasagdan sila dili kay control ang bata. Versus educational beliefs, children learn best through experience, play, and exploration, not strict rules or memorization. Education should be child centered, focusing on their learners' interests, needs, and abilities. Teachers should act as a guides and protectors, letting nature shape the child's growth. Example, instead of forcing a child to memorize lessons at a young age, Russo believed that it's better to let the child play, observe, observe nature, and learn naturally through experience until they're ready for formal education. So instead of forcing a child to memorize the facts about flowers, also let them explore a garden, touch the petals, and observe the plants to learn naturally. In short, children are naturally good and curious. Education should be child centered and experience based. Focus on learning from nature and real life experiences. So, why it matters? It promotes freedom, individuality, and creativity in learning. Recognize the importance of environment and experiences in a child's development. Also inspired modern ideas of progressive, child-friendly education systems. Next, we have Immanuel Kant. Rationalism. For him, knowledge is acquired through reasoning and logic. So, who is Immanuel Kant? He's a German philosopher of the 18th century known for blending rationalism and empiricism in his philosophy. He's one of the most influential thinkers in Western philosophy. Immanuel Kant believed that knowledge comes from reasoning and the active use of the mind. While experience is important, he argued that the mind plays a crucial role in organizing and interpreting information. For Kant, education is essential in helping individuals learn to think independently, reason logically, and act morally. So, what is rationalism? So, it is a philosophy that believes which is reason and logic are the primary sources of knowledge. We can discover certain truth through thinking alone without depending entirely on our senses. So in short, use your mind to understand the world. So kumbaga think deeper ka. Exercise nimo ang mga critical thinking skills. Like you're gonna explore some reason. Like for example sa classroom, teacher should be inculcate sa mind sa mga bata to be not very like judgmental nga dapat before sila mag-judge or before sila mag dive into the conclusions, they should know the certain reasons behind. Like for example, if ang ilang classmate is sige og absent, sige og late. So teachers should teach the learners the ang dili directly mag-judge why sige siya late, sige siya absent, something like that. Teachers should exercise to know the reason behind. Maybe that particular child is nagbantay og manghod or nagwait pa sa mama or namaligya, something like that. Children here will should be molded to have critical thinking or logical thinking skills. Kant's educational beliefs. Education should develop reasoning and critical thinking. Learners must not just gather facts, but learn to analyze, question, and reflect. Moral education is also important, teaching students to think about what is right and good. In Kant's view, education develops reasoning and moral character. Students must be trained to think critically and make ethical decisions. The goal of education is to produce autonomous or independent thinking, individuals who can contribute to a just society. Example, instead of just accepting what others say, students should be encouraged to analyze, question, and use their own reasoning to understand concepts and form their own beliefs. Or, instead of simply believing what's written in the book, students should be encouraged to ask questions and use reason to understand and evaluate ideas. So, in short, reason is the source of knowledge. Education should develop critical thinking and moral values, and it aimed to produce independent, rational, and responsible individuals. So, why it matters? Because it highlights the importance of mental discipline and independent thought. Encourage students to become rational, responsible, and moral individuals. Also, it promotes lifelong learning through reasoning and reflection. Next, we have Herbert Spencer. Herbert Spencer, famous for his theory social Darwinism or utilitarianism in education. He believes that education should prepare individuals for practical life and survival. Who is Herbert Spencer? Herbert Spencer is an English philosopher, sociologist, and educator during the 19th century, known for applying Charles Darwin's theory of evolutions to society and education. So, what is social Darwinism? It is the belief inspired by Darwin's survival of the fittest idea applied to human society. Spencer believed that education should prepare individual to survive and succeed in a competitive world. The strongest, smartest, and most capable should arise, while the weak naturally fall behind. In short, train the fittest for society's progress. So it is labanan ng mga matitibay, survival of the fittest. So in order for the students to survive sa ato ang environment, in education, it focuses on molding the child to adapt to a society. Ilong. So, what is utilitarianism in education? So, it is a belief that education should be useful and practical, serving the needs of both the individual and society. It focuses on the practical subjects like science, technology, and business rather than just arts and philosophy. Utilitarianism education should improve people's ability to live productive, happy, and successful lives. So, in short, teach what's useful and beneficial for life. Herbert Spencer believed that education should prepare individuals for a practical life and survival in society. Influenced by Charles Darwin's theory of evolution, Spencer applied the idea of survival of the fittest to education and society. He emphasized that schools should focus on useful knowledge and skills that help people to adapt, compete, and succeed in their environment. Herbert Spencer's educational belief: education should be scientific, practical, and focused on the survival skills. Schools should prepare students for real demands of life and society. Less emphasis on memorizing classical subjects, more on the useful everyday knowledge. For example, today, education has the K to 12 or the Tech Voc. So educations has a Tech Voc K to 12, which is they teach children skills para magamit nila sa ilahang kinabuhi. In Spencer's view, the main purpose of education is practical utility, teaching skills needed for health, work, social life, and citizenship. Subjects that are directly useful for daily life, such as science, mathematics, and physical education, should be prioritized. Moral and character education is also important to maintain social order and cooperation. So, example, instead of focusing only on literature or ancient history, schools should teach students how to manage money, stay healthy, work efficiently, and participate as a good citizen. In short, education prepares people for practical life and survival. Focus on useful, real life knowledge and skills, inspired by the idea of survival of the fittest in society. So, why it matters? It helps shape modern vocational and technical education. Encourage schools to offer subjects connected to real life needs. Reminds us to balance academic learning with practical skills. Next, we have Paulo Freire, critical pedagogy or conscientization. He believes that education should develop critical consciousness and empower learners to challenge oppressions. So, Paulo Freire is a Brazilian educator and philosopher known for his influential book, A Pedagogy of the Oppressed. He believed that education should be a tool for freedom, social justice, and empowerment. Paulo Freire believed that education should be a tool to develop critical thinking and social awareness. He introduced the idea of conscientization, the process of becoming aware of social, political, and economic inequalities and empowering people to take actions against oppression. Freire criticized the traditional banking model of education, where teachers simply deposit information into passive students. Instead, he argued that students and teachers should learn together through dialogue, reflection, and active participation. So here, like for example sa school, di ba na mga debate, dira mahasa ang learnings sa mga bata. If there's a debate or real example, si Jose Rizal, that's why na-create ang El Filibusterismo, ang No Limitangere. It is because of he knows how to ipaglaban ang mga Filipino. In Freire's view, education should develop critical consciousness, awareness of one's social reality. Learners Learners should be encouraged to question, reflect, and act to improve their lives and society. The classroom should promote dialogue and mutual respect between teachers and students. So, what is critical pedagogy? It is a teaching philosophy that believes education is not neutral. It either frees or oppresses people. Teachers and students should work together to question, reflect, and challenge injustice in society. That's what Rizal do. School should help learners become critical thinkers and agents of change. So, in short, education is a tool for awareness, freedom, and social transformation. So, here in Freire's view, education should aim to teach children how to be aware, to have freedom, and to contribute social transformation. So, ika nga, ang mga bata ang pag-asa ng bayan. So, what is conscientization or critical consciousness? So, it is a process where learners become deeply aware of social, political, and economic problems in their community. They learn to question unfair systems and practices. They develop the courage to speak up and take action for change. So, in short, open your eyes to the world's problem and help fix them. Paulo Freire's educational beliefs, students are co-creators of knowledge, not empty vessels to be filled. Classrooms should promote dialogue, reflection, and critical thinking. Education should connect to real life struggles and empower people to transform society. Example, instead of just teaching facts about poverty, teachers should encourage students to discuss its causes, effects, and how they can help create solutions in their community. So, in short, education should empower learners to think critically and challenge oppression. promote dialogue, reflection, and social action, rejects the banking model of education in favor of collaborative student-centered learning.